Hello. Good day, everybody. Hope Leon can hear me. Andrew Miller, are we together?
Yes,
Hello.
good morning.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning. How are you over there? I'm Baliola Yusuf from Nigeria, from Kwara State University. I'm the presenter of a topic, a dynamic macro panel autoregressive distribution lag approach to the determinant of cocoa exports among West African countries. Are you hearing me? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can I come again? As a matter of introduction. So I'm presenting on a dynamic macro panel autoregressive distributed lag model to the determinants of cocoa exports among West Africa countries. Here is my poster. But I have prepared some slides to show more elaborate a little bit about my poster. So as a matter of introduction, cocoa is one of the major crops in West Africa, generating substantial exports for the producing countries. Africa happens to be the lead world production and exporters of cocoa, according to USAID 2021. Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, top exporters of cocoa in the world. They claim about 77% of the global. Here are my objectives of this study. So part of the objective of this study is to investigate the long-run determinant of cocoa . The analytical procedure. Hello?
Hello, excuse me. Could you share your screen again? I think when you dropped out, the screen share went away.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll try. Okay. I'm coming. If there is network problem, I'll join very soon. I will do that. Can you see me? Hello?
Yes, we can see your webcam.
Okay.
Not your screen
but
share.
Okay. But you can't see me?
Just you. Yes.
Okay. So the analytical procedure for the analysis involve the correlation matrix analysis in order to rule out the possibility of multipolarity among the time series variables that are involved in the analysis. The second step involves unit truth test in order to establish order of integration of the macro variables that are involved in the analysis. The third step involves co-integration test in order to find out the existence of long-run association among the variables, while the last step involves estimating the model and carry out the necessary diagnostics test. So here are the models that are used. This is the model for unit root test, the co-integration test, as well as the model for pool-mean group ARDL model. So result of the discussions. But before going there, I would like you to see the results of the unit root test. Can you see the result of, you can't?
No, excuse me. I do not see the screen share. I don't know if Liang does, but I don't see it.
Okay, but I can see you.
Yeah, I can see your face, just your face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I'll try to adjust that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, thank
Can
you.
you see the screen? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now, so let's go to the unit root test, the result of the unit root test. So the essence of unit root test is to establish the order of integrations of the variable involved in order to know whether the PNJ-RDL is the most appropriate model for the estimation of our parameters. You can see that at level, can you see very well? Or I should expand it? At level, all the macro variables, some of the macro variables are stationary, while others, while some are not stationary. But after the first difference, the variables, all the variables become stationary, which means that those are intro, others is a most appropriate model to utilize estimation of here is the result of Pedroni co-integration. So Hello.
Whoa, are you back?
Oh, yes, I'm back. Sorry for that. There is
That's okay.
yes, there is network problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hope you can see the screen now.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm on the table 4. Can you see the table 4?
Yes.
PMGARDL 2444, result for the determinant of West African region cocoa exports. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the result shows both the long run and the short run determinant of cocoa export from West Africa to the world. Are we together?
Yes.
Are we together? Are we together? So, based on the results, we can see that regionally, we find out that these are the results and the discussion of our results. Regionally, we find out that cocoa exports was determined by volume production. That is, volume of production, own price of cocoa. So these are the results and the discussion. We have in Cote d'Ivoire export quantity is significantly determined by lag 1, lag 2, and lag 3 volume of cocoa production, lag 1 of export quantity, lag 1 to 3 of area of cocoa harvested. Whereas that of the Ghana export is significantly affected by lag 1 quantity of cocoa exports, lag 2, and lag 3 of the volume of cocoa production, as well as the current harvest area, lag of harvest area, and the present production volume. Similarly, for Nigeria, it was the cocoa export quantity was influenced by the lag 1, lag 2 of the area harvested, lag 3 of the production, the previous export quantity, the current area harvested, as well as the current volume of cocoa export. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So as a result of this, having looked at all the determinants of cocoa at both regional and country-wise, we found out that the level of cocoa production remains one of the major drivers of cocoa export from West Africa region. Therefore, we make policy options that will enhance more productivity to be put in place. Thank you. Any question?
Yeah, I have a question. Going back to the, I think one previous slide, like one back. When you're
Which
talking
one?
about the different, no, the one with the different countries, like
Okay.
Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. What do you think? What do you think the differences are in which variables were significant in explaining the export price and volume, like between the countries? Are there differences in storage practices, or what determines those differences?
Okay, let's take Cameroon for the first. Looking at the Cameroon in country-wise, Cameroon cocoa exports is significantly influenced by the area one area harvested, that is the previous area of cocoa harvested for the Cameroon. Then the current production volume. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
That of the Cameroon, the lag 1, lag 2, and lag 3 of volume of cocoa production. That is the previous last year, the previous last 2 years, and the previous last 3 years of cocoa production seriously affect the current production of cocoa in Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
Are we together? For that of Côte d'Ivoire, export quantity is significantly affected by lag 1, lag 2, and lag 3 of volume of production. Volume of production. Then lag 1 of export quantity. The previous year and lag 1 to 3 of the area of cocoa harvested.
Okay, thank you.
Production in also significantly affected by lag 1 quantity of cocoa export 2 and lag 3 volume of cocoa. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You are welcome. Any question here? Or I should go to more a very big. I should expand it. You can see the result of the unit roots. We use the leveling and tune, impersonal and sheen, ADF features, and PP features in order to give more robust elaboration of our unit root test, especially for the panel data. Since we are using panel data, we got our data from FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. You can see the area harvest was not stationary at level. Exchange rates was also not stationary at the criteria. It was stationary. So also the export price, the impersonation, the ADF features, both of them shows that they are stationary. So given this, we need to do false difference in order to stationarize all the variables. So we can see from the false difference result, all the macro variables were stationary at false difference from all the 3 or 4 criteria: leveling and tune, impersonal and sheen, ADF features, and PP features. So that one now takes us to the pedronic residual co-integration test in order to test for the long-run association among the variables. When you look at all the statistics, the first statistic we have the panel B statistics, the panel row statistics, the panel PP statistics, as well as the panel ADF statistics. Virtually all the 3 were significant, only the panel B statistics. Since majority are significant, it means that there is long-run association among the variables. So as a result of that, MGA LDL will be of more importance. So we have various lag selection criteria, but the most featured one is 2444, telling us that the export quantity is having 2 lag, the export price is having 4 lag, area harvested 4 lag, exchange rate 4 lag, as well as the production volume 4 lag. You can see their lag. So the coefficient, the long run coefficient is shown. Among the long run coefficients, that is when we are talking about regional factor determining exports from West Africa. That is the result of this one. So in the long run, at regional level, only the export price and the production volume were significant. But in the short run, we have this factor, that is the area harvested, the current area harvested, the lag 1 of production volume, the lag 3 of production volume, and the lag 2 of exchange rate were significant. You can see the ECM. The ECM is minus 0.5939. That is the speed of adjustments towards the long run equilibrium. And it is having the correct negative sign, which means that our error correction model is okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very
I'm
interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Liang, do you want to go next or should I go next?
Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you see my PPT?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, hello everyone. I am Liang Zhou from the School of Agriculture, Economic and Rural Development, Renmin University of China. The title of the thesis I want to show you today is, do rural residents care about domestic waste disposal? A hedonic analysis of housing prices in rural China. Well, my presentation is mainly divided into 5 parts, namely introduction, data, empirical strategy, results, conclusions. Well, domestic waste. Domestic waste is a long-standing threat to developing countries with large population and poor waste management. However, in rural China, the problem is particularly serious, mainly because the capacity of domestic waste treatment is basically out of proportion to the amount of waste generated. It is estimated that in 2020, 170 million tons of domestic waste was generated in rural China. However, due to the lack of waste recycling and harmless treatment, such a huge amount of garbage was not properly handled. Today, when the promotion of agriculture and modernization in rural China is being accelerated, these facts make one wonder, do Chinese rural residents really care about domestic waste disposal? Therefore, the research question of this paper is, do rural domestic waste treatment facility and services affect housing prices? From the picture, we can see the serious pollution of rural household waste and some primitive treatment facilities, such as open incineration. Well, in 2018, Chinese government put forward a 3-year on-the-grid campaign for rural living environmental improvement, which is successfully concluded in 2020, followed by a new 5-year action plan in 2021. Among this action plan, domestic waste treatment has always been the key direction of rural living environmental work. In recent years, with the vigorous construction of treatment facility, both the rate of domestic waste treatment and the rate of harmless treatment has been greatly improved, but this is far from enough. In this study, one of the implicit preconditions of the hedonic price model is a well-functioning housing market. China is undergoing a reform of the rural homestead system, which aims to fully revitalize and utilize the idle houses to eliminate institutional obstacles to the circulation of homestead. Whether pilot in institutional policies or evidence from private transactions, these facts strongly support our hedonic analysis in rural China. Well, the main contribution of this paper are as follows. First, while the hedonic price method, this study demonstrates that Chinese rural residents do care about the value of domestic waste disposal. Second, we estimate rural residents' willingness to pay for domestic waste treatment facilities. Third, this paper highlights the rural resident preferences for specific waste treatment facility and among different income groups. The data used in this article come from a national rural resident survey of Renmin University of China and the cross-sectional plan data in 2017 is used. Our sample is distributed in 255 villages in 28 provincial administrative regions in China with a sample size of over 5,000. The dependent variable in this paper is the housing value. In the survey, most of the villagers are aware of their housing value. The key independent variable is domestic waste treatment, which are treatment facility at the village level and treatment services at the household level. I also control the structural and the neighborhood characteristic of the house. This paper adopts the hedonic price model proposed by Lawson in 1974. The specific model is as follows. Y is the housing value and X is the disposal of domestic waste. In addition, this paper performed box-cup transformation on numerical variables such as housing values. All of my regressions control for provincial fixed effect and use robust standard error clustered to the village level. I have omitted most of the control variable for ease of presentation. In the village level benchmark regression, domestic waste treatment facilities have a significant positive impact on housing value. This shows that Chinese rural residents care about the value of domestic waste disposal. Well, after sorting by 2 household waste collection methods, the results show that door-to-door collection is more popular with rural residents than designated site collection. Well, we next explore the effect of a variety of specific waste treatment facility on housing value. In the first and second columns, I consider recycling treatment and harmless treatment, respectively. The results show that recycling treatment and harmless treatment will generate an additional housing value premium compared to the traditional traditional disposal. It shows that rural residents feel and do value sustainable waste management. Well, in column 3 and 4, I consider more specific waste disposal methods, namely transfer, composting, landfill, and incineration. As a result, except waste transfer, landfill and incineration have a significant positive impact on housing value only if they are treated in a harmless manner. Well, third, we examine the preferences for waste disposal services among different income groups, that is, poor and non-poor residents. The independent variable here is the domestic waste treatment services that residents can obtain at the household level. In the first and second columns, the 4 sample regression results are similar to the previous village level result. After grouping households by income, poor households are more willing to pay for waste disposal than non-poor households, which may be due to their poorer living condition and higher demand for waste disposal services. The marginal willingness to pay show that the rural residents are willing to pay 26 yuan per month for waste disposal facility and more than 13 yuan per month for recycling and harmless treatment. In addition, we compare the willingness to pay reported by farmers in the questionnaire, which is about 25 yuan, and find that the results are stable. Well, in short, the rural residents who are accustomed to the dirty environment in the public stereotype do care about the environmental quality. While the hedonic price method, this paper estimates that rural residents are willing to pay about 26 yuan per month for domestic waste disposal. That is about $3.9 US, accounting for about 2.5% of their monthly income. Second, poor households are more willing to pay for waste disposal than non-poor households. Third, our research provides a basis for the investment and evaluation of corresponding projects and reveals the non-market value of people's perception of waste disposal in enhancing ecological health and aesthetic value. Well, thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Do you have some question?
I did have one question, going back to the results, maybe the last slide on the results. I forget exactly where it was. Yeah, back one more. Yes, this one. What is an informal site? Is that just like a piece of land that nobody's using that everybody puts their trash on, or what would informal site dumping be?
Well, the village always often designate a waste station in somewhere of the village, but the villagers may feel that it's too long or too far away to get to the waste station, so they will pour their waste in some informal site.
Okay, it's interesting though. It seems that if I'm understanding the method right, it seems that proximity to an informal site predicts higher housing price. Is that correct? Is that a correct interpretation? Or am I misunderstanding?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good. Okay, should any other, do you want me to go now, or that was the only question I had.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen here? So I should have put this in slideshow format, but this was originally
yes,
a poster.
I can see
So
it.
I will zoom in at different parts of it. But yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Miller. I'm a PhD candidate at the Ohio State University in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, in the United States. And my work mostly has to do with environmental and conservation topics. And so today I'm presenting on the topic of optimal policies to promote large carnivore conservation, considering a spatially heterogeneous landscape. So just an introduction here. Human-wildlife conflict with large carnivores is a very prevalent problem throughout the world. You have different contexts where you have lions in sub-Saharan Africa, wolves in the Western United States, snow leopards in Asia, and all these different places where livestock producers are trying to raise livestock and carnivores can kill their livestock. And this issue is pretty important because these large carnivores tend to have relatively low population densities. And so a small amount of poaching has a large effect on the population. This issue has been, in the United States, this issue has been sort of at the forefront recently. For instance, the state of Colorado recently voted to allow wolves to recolonize the state. And it was pretty stark. The election, the results of that election, or I should say the results of that vote, were pretty stark because in the city, most of the people in the city voted to allow wolves to come back in, and most of the people in the rural and the countryside voted against it. So it's very divided there. And that kind of gets at this issue of these species having net social benefits for the population as a whole, whether those are non-use benefits, just kind of knowing that the ecosystem, that the ecology is complete and that there are wolves out there, or lions out there, these large carnivores are out there, or whether they're even experiential benefits where people go to parks and get to observe the wolves and that kind of thing. So what is the solution to this problem of the benefits being global and the cost being borne locally? The solution is transfers via a third party, such as a wildlife service agency or a nonprofit. And so far, the vast majority of these transfers have been conducted via an ex post payment, where there is a loss of livestock. A carnivore kills some livestock, and then the livestock producer complains or files a claim, and then they are reimbursed for their loss. So this is very widely used, different contexts throughout the world, and there are some well-known issues with these. One are the high transaction costs of just sort of overseeing these programs, and then also the costs of verifying kills. Sending out a claims adjuster to go look and confirm that a kill took place and that it was actually due to the species that the program is for. And in some cases, it's even been shown theoretically to cause loss of habitat, because livestock producers, once they sort of have this type of insurance, will actually expand their operations, and it will cause loss of habitat for the species that is being conserved. There's also a sort of moral hazard problem. I'm not sure if it's the technical definition of moral hazard, but a problem where the livestock producer now has less of an incentive to protect their livestock because they are basically getting insured by the government or the nonprofit. So another type of payment has been posited as a potential solution, and that's the idea of ex ante payments or performance payments. And this compensates farmers or livestock producers for the existence of the wildlife. And you can consider this a type of payment for ecosystem service where the farmer kind of provides the habitat for the carnivore to exist, and then gets paid for the actual existence of that wildlife. So this aligns the incentives of the wildlife producer, of the livestock producer, and the wildlife service. And theoretically, this is superior to ex post compensation in a relatively simple model, with sort of one livestock producer and one wildlife agency. However, there are still some issues with this type of payout. One is, how should you determine what the payouts are? It's actually, in some cases, quite difficult to monitor these carnivores. So you have to use some sort of imperfect measure, like counts of their den sites where they raise their young, or monitoring scat or other methods like that to try to measure how many of these carnivores are there. And so a related question is, how good does this performance measure need to be? How good does the measure need to be in order to be highly correlated enough with the true population that it's effective? So the objectives of this research are to answer these questions. So how does the error in the performance measure affect the optimal payment policy? And how do farmers respond when their spatial characteristics of their land is different? How do they respond to these types of payments? And then also, how does the optimal policy change as the distance between the true carnivore population and the performance measure, as that sort of error grows? How does that change? So the methods that we used, is a model, a relatively simple model, where farmers act independently as first movers. So each farmer has their own optimization problem, and that can be solved for any given policy from the wildlife service. So the farmer has two variables to optimize on. One would be the stocking rate, sort of how much livestock is on the property, on the land that the farmer has. And then the other is poaching effort, which is how much time and energy is put into, and money is put into killing the carnivore illegally. And so this can be solved as a function of the ex ante and ex post payments and parameters. And then the second stage of the model is the wildlife service minimizing its budget, subject to two constraints. The average farmer is not made worse off in profit by the carnivores. So the farmer is kind of restored to its original profit levels, and then the carnivore population is maintained at least at a certain level set by policymakers. So once we have the farmer response function, that can be fed back into the wildlife service optimization, cost minimization problem, and that can be solved. So first, here's just some basic results, just based on the model itself. You'll notice that there's no scale here. It's just kind of showing the directions of just sort of the model solved simply. So the farmer responds to the ex post payments by decreasing the poaching effort, but increasing stocking rate. So it's kind of that idea, that habitat loss idea, where once you have the insurance, then you actually expand your operations because you essentially have insurance against the killing of your livestock. On the other hand, the farmer responds by reducing both activities to the ex ante payments. So, payment for the existence of the wildlife on the property results in a reduction of stocking rate and a reduction of poaching effort, which is kind of more what the wildlife service is looking for. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to say that this was solved using MATLAB's fmincon function. Now looking at having multiple farmers, as the error increases between what the what the livestock producer can, or sorry, what the wildlife service can observe versus what is truly the true population, the optimal policy mix changes. So essentially, if there's more air in general, it means that it's optimal for the wildlife service to use more of the ex post payments, sort of allocate more of its budget to ex post payments rather than ex ante payments. Okay, so I'm noting that I'm almost out of time, but so in conclusion, we have a one period model to analyze the incentives of livestock producers facing payments to promote conservation. We find that ex ante payments in general, the budget is better off being allocated to ex ante payments. However, as the variance of the of that error term increases between what the wildlife service can observe and the true population of the carnivore, as that variance increases, it makes sense to allocate more budget to the ex post payments. So the limitation of this model is that it's currently a one period model. And so in the future, increasing that to be a dynamic model through time would be worth doing. Thank you, and look forward to any questions you might have.
Well, I don't have any question.
Okay, thank you. If no one has any questions, I'll hand it over to, looks like Pablo is here. If you're presenting.
Yeah, but I don't have any questions about it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if is someone else connected, but because I see just myself, I wanted to be sure that I'm connected too.